that goes slow to go far. Economy is the key, closing the loop of the garment value chain. Progress comes from disruptives and courageous proposals. The fashion that works with future generations in mind. The fashion which promises to repair the damage of years of fierce industrialization. And it does so by joining forces from all corners of the planet.
La Fundación Finnova, con el proyecto CirCoAX, busca empresas y autónomos innovadores para promover la economía circular en el mundo textil y de la moda.
The fashion that changes everything. That goes slow to go far. That teaches a new way of dressing and making clothing. Based on reducing and minimizing the consumption of resources. Supporting local production and local consumption for global changes. We want to preserve the biodiversity that conventional industry is destroying. Circular economy is the key, closing the loop of the garment value chain. Progress comes from disruptives and courageous proposals. The fashion that works with future generations in mind. The fashion which promises to repair the damage of years of fierce industrialization. And it does so by joining forces from all corners of the planet.
La Fundación Finnova, con el proyecto CirCoAX, busca empresas y autónomos innovadores para promover la economía circular en el mundo textil y de la moda.
The fashion that changes everything. That goes slow to go far. That teaches a new way of dressing and making clothing. Based on reducing and minimizing the consumption of resources. Supporting local production and local consumption for global changes. We want to preserve the biodiversity that conventional industry is destroying. Circular economy is the key, closing the loop of the garment value chain. Progress comes from disruptives and courageous proposals. The fashion that works with future generations in mind. The fashion which promises to repair the damage of years of fierce industrialization. And it does so by joining forces from all corners of the planet.
La Fundación Finnova, con el proyecto CirCoAX, busca empresas y autónomos innovadores para promover la economía circular en el mundo textil y de la moda.
The fashion that changes everything. That goes slow to go far. That teaches a new way of dressing and making clothing. Based on reducing and minimizing the consumption of resources. Supporting local production and local consumption for global changes. We want to preserve the biodiversity that conventional industry is destroying. Circular economy is the key, closing the loop of the garment value chain. Progress comes from disruptive and courageous proposals. The fashion that works with future generations in mind. The fashion which promises to repair the damage of years of fierce industrialization. And it does so by joining forces from all corners of the planet.
La Fundación Finnova, con el proyecto CirCoAX, busca empresas y autónomos innovadores para promover la economía circular en el mundo textil y de la moda.
The fashion that changes everything. That goes slow to go far. That teaches a new way of dressing and making clothing. Based on reducing and minimizing the consumption of resources. Supporting local production and local consumption for global changes. We want to preserve the biodiversity that conventional industry is destroying. Circular economy is the key, closing the loop of the garment value chain. Progress comes from disruptives and courageous proposals. The fashion that works with future generations in mind. The fashion which promises to repair the damage of years of fierce industrialization. And it does.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this event. This is the last conference of Circular Sustainable Fashion with Madrid, an amazing week around the circular and sustainable fashion. We want to connect with all the people that didn't know what are we making, why are working. And let me introduce this conference with a sentence of a very famous economist, Spanish very famous economist, José Luis San Pedro, and he's died. He's died, and he said this one day: this system is coming to an end. The technological and sociological innovation that have occurred in 20th centuries and 21st centuries are something that the capitalists cannot understand. And that is why they cling to their banks, their tickets, and their titles. Young people are already in another era. And that's we are here. Here we are presenting a very interesting and innovation project that are working because once another society, another cities, another industry. These projects are selected because are working with circular economy and circular fashion. And let me introduce now our hosted here, Mercedes. He's the representative of EID, Innovation Lab. We are in a very special building because are trying to give innovation of all the cities. So Mercedes, thank you very much for being our hosted. It's your time.
Thank you, Paloma. And well, on behalf of ID, the European Institute of Design, we are delighted to host this event of our project CircularInnoBooster, Fashion and Textile, and to finally meet some of the SMEs of our accelerator, CirCoAX, and to meet you in person. However, I have to tell you something related to ID regulations. We would like to recommend you that if the safety distance cannot be respected, I did recommend to use the face mask. And but well, then at 7 p.m. once the event finishes, you are invited to drink something outside, so that we can meet and know each other. And well, that's all. We are looking forward to learn a lot about all of you. And thank you, Paloma.
Thank you. Thank you, Mercedes. It's an honor to be here with you. Because we are speaking about circular economy, the best person that can introduce our conference is here. Peggy Bloom is the author of Circular Fashion for a Sustainable Fashion Industry, published by Bloom editorial that you can find there. And Peggy is a writer and assistant professor of practice, sustainability, textile, and apparel studies at the University of Texas at Austin. She has taught management and marketing applied to fashion in various institutions, and has participated in projects and conferences on sustainability. She's an expert in conceptualizing the supply chain and in a circular way through the 5 points that she breaks down on her book: create, make, market, use, and renew. Welcome, Peggy, and the floor is yours. Thank you so much for joining us.
Wow. Thank you. Well, do I have to stand over here for this mic? Is this good? Yeah, okay. Because I have a lot going on here. I always bring my notes just to, so you know. But I also have this presentation that I put together so that I want to be able to show you some of the things that I have, illustrated in my book, talked about in my book, and some updates, because when I wrote the book, it was before the pandemic. So let me see what I have to do here. Okay. Yeah, I don't know where it's not coming up. Is it going to come up over here? Yeah. Sorry for the tech issue.
Oh, it's on Zoom then. Okay, so then we can share the screen.
We have to share the screen. I'm giving you the updates. Voila. Yeah, there it is. Wow, thank you for coming over. This is perfect. Okay, so I think I introduced myself, right? Yeah, okay, that's me. All right, so I want to say buenas tardes or buenas noches, kind of an in-between time of buenas tardes. Yeah, okay. So it's buenas tardes and then it'll go into buenas noches, right? I'm learning. Okay, so I'm really happy to be here because, well, first of all, this is a very exciting week, right? It's a groundbreaking week for fashion. Even if it's not publicized on the main stage, we're here focusing on circularity. And so I'd like you to, have a think tonight before you go out or before you head out into the weekend, as they say. I want you to have a think about a question. Ooh, sorry, this is a very sensitive laptop, huh? Okay. So I'm going to go back to something I'd like you to think about as I talk about, go through my presentation, is something called, what happens when a piece of clothing is no longer wanted? And we all think about this, right? We all think about our clothing. We all think about where things stand in the fashion industry. But have you really thought about where your clothing might end up, or what happens to clothing that you no longer want to wear? And I guess the second question is, do you care? And I think we all care, but to what level, and to what are you going to take ownership of that? Not only as a industry professional, but also as a consumer of fashion products. And so we have a couple of things that I'd just like you to have a good think on, right? All right, so, all right, I'm going to carry on and hopefully I can. Okay, so I guess one of the things that, at this moment in the fashion industry, that when we think about what happens to clothing that we no longer want, or clothing that we no longer want to wear, our industry is really in a reactive state. And I want you to think about our industry divided into two bits. One is a proactive industry. When you're working in the fashion industry on sustainable or circular methods or design systems, you can be proactive. You can get it right from the start. And I'll talk a little bit about this more as we get in. But we want to talk about this idea of a reactive stage. And this is really where we are. Producers are producing too much clothes. We know that, right? We all know that we have an overproduction in the fashion industry. And we also know from the consumer has too many clothing, too much clothes in the closet, right? We have a very small amount of options in the fashion industry right now for good for the planet clothing, where you can walk into a store and know that that supply chain is clean, know that those materials are going to either regenerate or restore. So we kind of know this. But what's happened is, because we haven't made a big shift, we are really working on a linear model of fashion. And a linear model is, just think of a straight line, just a straight line, right? That you start with the raw materials and you finish with the consumer. And what happens after the consumer gets a hold of it, there's sort of a question mark, because we don't really tell anybody exactly what to do with the clothes, right? We do say, okay, you can donate them, give them to someone, but there isn't a clear method right now in the industry where everybody knows exactly what to do with clothes that they're tired of. But we also have this thing that's going on in the industry, because our model is, linear. What happens is all of this piles up because it just kind of drops off. Some people will donate, some people will recycle, but we don't have a clear method. And so what happens is we have waste. Can everybody hear me if I just don't stand at the microphone? Can you hear me? Because I can shout really loud. Is that okay? Yeah, can you hear me? Because I guess when I teach, I move. And so I feel really stiff if I stand here right now just doing this. Yeah. Oh, for the people online. Okay, well, you Zoomers, I gotta be more active, but I have to move around. I don't know, it's maybe I won't belt out Frank Sinatra. I have to move around a little. Yeah, this is good. And you know what? I could put it in the hand. All right. Let me give it to me. Sorry. This is fantastic. All right. I kind of want to go over my slides in more of in this way. So when we talk about a linear supply chain, we're talking about this line, which I talked about, right? And then I want you to think of these two things that are happening. First is we have a lot of waste happening in the industry. We have pre-consumer waste, which is really in the manufacturing and the production. And I took this data points from Reverse Resources, which is a company that has been quite active in developing circular methods and systems. And so you have like 25% just being on the factory with no, just on the floor, whatever, because of pattern making or production methods, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have this piece, which I was talking about, where our closets are really full, right? We have consumers who are just purchasing fashion on a very perishable way, like you would buy eggs. Yeah. Because we condition people to replace what's in their closets before they've run their true product life cycle. So before it's even worn out, it's worn out in your eyes, right? Because it's worn out due to style changes, due to color changes, due to I'm sick of it changes, it didn't fit, I just bought it because it was cheap. All these things are happening. So I think this is a really good statistics. If you got 10 seconds. Did you have a got milk advertisement years ago? Remember that got milk? Well, if you got 10 seconds, you've got an equivalent of one garbage truck of textiles being landfilled or burned. And I think that's really powerful when we think about that pile up, right? And so go back to the question that I asked. What happens when a piece of clothing is no longer wanted? Do we have any kind of a process to, say what definitively that answer would be? So, all right, I'm going to do this. So we know, and these are kind of things I'm just reviewing because I don't want to make this really gloomy, but we know that the industry, because of the waste in both the production and the manufacturing, which is the pre-consumer and the post-consumer, we know that we've made a lot of social and environmental impacts. We know that we have that, right? We're aware of that as an industry. Everyone's aware of that, right? Here, I just want to bring in mind, in 2015, this is in Indonesia, on Java Island, these models wore gas masks, and they had banners proclaiming, please end the pollution that has been caused by some of the global brands around the river. It's really affected the community. So we've seen some communities go through some really terrible impacts. Could be diseases, could be just they can't use the water, whatever it is, the soils are problematic. And we seem to not be able to trace, and I hear a lot of this, we seem to be not to be able to trace the source. And I say that because the supply chain doesn't allow for 100% complete transparency. And so our supply chain in a global sense, does not allow us to find who's doing what at any moment. And we know that as a consumer of fashion, we don't walk into a boutique and say, oh, hello, I'd like that garment. Can you tell me what your supply chain is? That's not what fashion's about, right? We wear it for color, for emotion, for entertainment, for aspiration. And so how do we marry sustainability, circularity, all these things together into exciting products? All right, so we kind of know this. We know that the fashion industry is causing a lot of these problems. We know brands are not being 100% truthful. They're not giving accurate data, some good assessments. But our industry needs to rethink. And I want to start with two terms. And I guess this is the teacher in me, the professor. When you think about this, I want you to think about doing something, because I think it's easy to be sustainable. Because in our minds, we're just saying we want to prolong what we're doing now in the present so that we don't put the needs of the future in danger. And I think we do that. We do that in some areas, right? But circularity actually is something that gives you something to do, right? A circle is movement. It's causing things to move continuously. So you can say you're sustainable, right? You can say you're 100, I'm going to be sustainable, or this word is being thrown around in so many ways in the fashion industry. It's almost crazy, right? I mean, everybody's doing sustainable this, sustainable that. And then that becomes a halo, right? This little collection, this little capsule collection, oh, we're using organic cottons, a halo that the brand believes is their contribution to a sustainable or sustainable world. But in fact, it's a very, very small piece of what they're doing. And I spent a lot of time in Copenhagen and listening to brands like H&M on the platform, on the page, and listening to what they're doing in terms of sustainability, carrying all these big brands. And I was like, what exactly are you doing now? Because it's been 4 or 5 years listening to you, and you're kind of making a little difference. And so I want you to think about not using the S word. I do in class. Don't use the S word. Try to explain sustainability or show sustainability. not just use the word. And so I was in Copenhagen, and I don't know why I'm bringing up Copenhagen, but please don't say the S word was a really important panel one in Copenhagen. And they had people try to talk about sustainability without saying sustainability. And there I said it. So anyway, so just think of the language we're using, because we need new language if we're going to launch this in an exciting way. And right now, our language might need some oomph. Does that make sense? Yeah, oomph, oomph, okay. All right, well, anyway, the power of circles, right? I mean, I think one of the things why this is so important, and I discussed this in my book, and I think it's kind of interesting because I did a lot of research on the power of a circle, and the idea is the circle is a universal symbol, right? We all know symbolism. And in Buddhism, I kept finding these really cool things about circles. Circles are philosophical symbols, right? They correspond to that cyclical nature of, okay, and listen to this in Buddhism, it's birth, life, death, and then rebirth. Sounds like the forest, sounds like nature. There's always a rebirth after fall into spring. And so this idea of circles, scientists study circles. I know I'm like going crazy, right? I should have circle glasses on right now. Scientists study circles, atoms, the sun, the moon, molecules have a circular shape. Artists paint circles, right? I mean, think about circles. I mean, I make people crazy, but I think the most exciting thing was when I found that psychologists say that circles correspond to happiness. Oh, I wrote that down. I couldn't believe it. I was like going nuts with the circles. And so I'm sure there's a lot more. And I might have put things down there in my book, but right, just think about the power of circles. It's kind of cool. Okay, so I want to say that it has a powerful symbolism, circles. So we'll go back to this idea of what are we going to do about the fashion industry now, right? We have to really think about what we're doing and what we're teaching. Because I'm seeing, and this is in the United States, at universities that I teach at, they're teaching the same design principles as they were in 1976. And so we really need to move this forward. And so I propose, and I'm not the only one, we have a lot of people proposing this idea, a circle of responsibility, right? And so what does that mean? That means really starting with, from the beginning, are we teaching how everything is going through a supply chain and what happens to that after the consumer or the user is finished with that product. So if I had to say, what is it that I'm looking for here? And I've kind of chunked it out because the purpose of the book was to introduce a topic that not everybody is exposed to on a, if you're in the industry, you might know a lot more. If you're an academic, you might know more, a professional. But what about the average person? Do they really know any of this? How can we simplify this for them? And so I broke it down into this idea of create, make, market, use, care, and repair, and renew. And then each piece of that has an important component on how that circle works and how everyone's responsible in the circle, not just, we're going to create something and make something and it's beautiful and then send it off to the next department. It's this idea that, circularity is, thinking in systems. How is this whole, looking at it from, I want to say a hawk, right? A hawk, the perspective of a hawk, looking at what we're doing entirely, not throwing it to the next department and say arrivederci or something. So we're looking at seeds and fibers, design and materials, dyes and finishes. What are we doing? What do we want to circulate? And how, with one common goal, can we get clean, safe, ethical products, fashion products to the consumer? Okay, so that's our challenge, I would say. Now, when I talked about proactive and reactive, I really feel like now we have two ways to go when we are teaching fashion or when we are creating fashion or creating a brand. One is proactive. And I think I mentioned this earlier, you can get it right from the start. And what does that mean? Well, that means, sourcing the materials that will not harm the environment, that could be regenerative, restorative. That means designing with maybe newer design strategies and going back to the drawing board, thinking of design, maybe design with longevity. If you're going to circulate something, how can you disassemble that? If you are going to recycle something, how does that look? What does that look like? So there's a lot of different design strategies, and I don't have time to go through each one, but this idea of a proactive approach, instead of creating a garment as business as usual, what can we do? What can we circulate? What can we make better? How can we look at this? And also in the packaging of it, the transportation, getting everybody on the same table and saying, what are we doing here? Where can we make a difference and improve? And so that's an important piece, is this proactive piece that people, I think it's starting to happen a little by little. People are saying, okay, let's stop and see what we're doing, and maybe we can make some improvements. And so it's really looking at first the design piece, right? Design, thinking, and rethinking. Okay, and what does that really mean? I mean, it means being open-minded, for one, right? It also means taking risks and making failure, right? Because we're not used to that, right? It's okay to fail. Allowing students in design labs to just make a mess and not maybe have the perfect solution or the perfect fashion show at the end of the semester. So it's really using materials and also getting involved with companies that are using new materials like bananas and mushrooms and all these great things, oranges, and having fun with it, not making it a life or death situation. But I think we got to get away from business as usual. And then it's also using the resources wisely, right? Finding value in new resources. Oh, banana leaves, mushrooms, and so really thinking about this as a real serious business model, and material wise is huge right now. A lot of people are doing this and experimenting and not being afraid to make that mistake and then move on and challenge yourself as design. So design is one, and we hear a lot about design in sustainability and circularity. It seems like that's the only piece, but there isn't. There's a whole supply chain here that's dying for a new approach, a rethink. So that's one piece of it. And then, of course, the marketing, which is, I'm talking about new language. Okay, it's good to save the world, but is that really something that the average consumer can do? When you're thinking about opening a shop or starting a brand or a marketing class, what are some of the new words that young people like to hear? Recycle might be really old. And so it's this idea, what is it, what can we do to push us forward and make it happy, exciting, and new, right? And then also, I think what's really important is the idea of responsible production and consumption, which is supply chain transparency. And that's something that I think what I said earlier, brands are not really 100% giving out enough information on yet, but we're seeing some progress. Now, so we have this proactive approach where we've got people on board, right, that are all ready to do something in circularity, but we also aren't there really. We have too much clothing produced now, too much is still business as usual, and so we have to react. Right? We have to have a reaction here. And what's the reaction? So we have a couple of business models that are happening right now. Recommerce is a huge growth model, a huge piece of this. In fact, this is probably the most direct and most well-established business model there is right now. It's very easy. It's a resale, right? It's resale of previously sold items. And this is increasing the average number of items that clothing is worn in its proper state, right? It's not being disassembled or anything. And also resale is expected to grow. And this chart shows that. This is, if you're unfamiliar with, do you know ThreadUp? Anybody here of ThreadUp? Yeah, they do a great report with lots of great statistics about resale. So resale is one of them, and that's pretty easy, right? And where do you get that? People buy secondhand, but there's also something else that's kind of an interesting piece. This idea of the EPR, the extended producer responsibility. And this is, I've worked with Eileen Fisher in the States, and she takes responsibility for her products for that entire life cycle. So what she produces, she sells or she renews, right, back into the market. And it's this idea of reversing logistics. So you're starting with an end consumer, someone who's going to take that product back to you, the brand, not just dump it in a bin for recycle or charity. It's really going to go to you, the brand, the producer. You're going to take ownership of that, right? And then you're going to decide what to do with that. And I know from Eileen Fisher, I think it was, she started this resale. It's called Renew, actually. And I'm just looking for my notes because I want to tell you that in 2009, she started having customers bring back her clothes, and she has collected over 1.2 million pieces of clothing. Now, you'll see that those bags that I'm showing you, those bags are actually from Eileen Fisher's warehouses, and she's collected so many clothes that, and I'm not laughing that she's collected so many clothes, but she's had to actually get storage warehouse because they couldn't believe the enormous amount of people sending back clothes to the brand. And now they're like inundated with what they're going to do. But one thing, they have a new resale program where they clean them, they do that. Then they also have a renew section where they sort it and renew it by design. And so there's a lot of things that people are doing to reduce, to take ownership of what they're producing. And it's almost like a wow, right? Like, wow, I can't believe we're producing that much stuff. And then our customers are sending it back. And now what are we going to do with it? And it's become a problem. It's not something they've easily solved. And they're sitting with warehouses of clothing. And so that's an interesting piece. This idea of recycling, restoring, and repairing is big. We know that, how can we talk to consumers about these things? Repairing, how do we make it easy for someone to repair a button, et cetera, et cetera. And then I show you these broken scissors because there's a designer that I know who does restoring and recycling, and she goes through scissors like crazy because she's always ripping things out all day long and trying to disassemble and reassemble. And it's a very laborious process. It really is time consuming, and it's also expensive to have somebody hand do, and it takes for one item. And so it's not really something we've solved. And how are we going to solve this idea of recycling, renewing, and restoring garments in that way? And then finally, rental is a huge market, also a very easy market for businesses to go into. We see a lot of brands doing rental, and I'm not sure if I'm running out of time, but it's really another very direct a way in which a business can make a difference with a circular model. They can, and one of the biggest ones I have here, I'm trying to find my notes on this, but what was interesting about this one was that the Rent the Runway actually, before the pandemic in 2019, saw an increase by 92% of their business through subscriptions. And then it went down, and now it's on a rebound again. But people are really up to maybe not taking ownership of clothing as we know it, right? Maybe people are really interested in doing different ways of communicating who they are through dress. And maybe ownership is going to die, and we talk about the metaverse and digital fashion and the fabricant and all this stuff. And so there might be a way in which we move forward into a digital space where people share clothing, different ways of open source fashion. And so that's one thing. And then, I want you to consider that question again, because I think we can look at it from two angles. We can look at it from this idea. We have one hat where we're a professional and we're trying to solve, make things happen. And then another from the consumer. And what happens in your closet? Are you proud of your closet? Are you modeling the way towards circularity? And the last thing I'll say is, because I know this is an innovative piece of Fashion Week here, is that I do believe the more I speak to people, and I did plug and play in Barcelona recently, and I've done some speaking engagements in London. And the more I speak to people, it seems like this change is going to start from the bottom up. I feel like we've given people on the top enough time, some of the bigger brands, to really make that seismic change. I was so hopeful like 5-6 years ago when I was hearing Kering or Stella McCartney or somebody big on the stage in Copenhagen, and then it falls flat. So I do believe that this change will come from the bottom up. And I do believe what you're doing, all the work that you're doing is really going to make a difference when we all get together and collaborate. And that innovation, if you think about fashion, innovation is a key driver of fashion. We love innovation in fashion. And so that's the piece that we really need, because we don't have these things at scale yet that will take us forward into a circular future. So I hope I did well with this microphone. And if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm always happy to take any questions, but I know we're on a schedule, so thank you so very much. Did I don't know. Oh, and my book is back there in Spanish.
Yeah, totally. Thank you so much, Peggy. I really believe that the change comes from the bottom, as you say, but as well, I believe that the change will be possible for the young people, for the creativity and innovation that the young people has to show us. Because they have a very clear view of the situation, and they have other way to approach to the solutions with innovation, and very disruptive. We need disruptive and broke our economic system. So we are now watch a lot of projects, well, 10 projects by circular fashion, circular, circular sustainable fashion week, but it's CirCoAX by CircularInnoBooster. And we start with Pirates that they are selected because they are working in an amazing way to change the way to work with the materials. So no, well, office, yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry. Yes. Sorry. We changed before. We know about varieties. Saran is going to ask about CirCoAX by CircularInnoBooster. That is the project that we are presenting here today. Sorry, Saran.
No. I think the protagonists are the brands. So the most important thing is that you get a chance to speak. But because this is a official European project as well, and we have to present the project by the coordinating. Yeah, sí, lo voy a hacer como. Okay, so we have to really tell you just a little bit about the CircularInnoBooster program, and this is a project by the European Union that It's called the COSME program, and it's called CircularInnoBooster. And we got this this funding to do the project. It feels like basically what we did is get the funding to do the project, and we launched a program called CirCoAX, which is a program. So I feel like I had such a long week and I'm here now. I don't even know how I ended up here, but I'm really happy that we are finally presenting the project to you. So my head is like a bit all over the place. So what I can tell you is that the project itself is thanks to the European funding, because basically to do something like this with this amount of money and people who really want to make a difference, they don't usually have access to funding. And if you want to make change bottom up and you don't have access to money, you have to ask for it. And thankfully in the European Union, you get access to a lot of funding for innovation. So we did the application to do that. And at the time when Paloma came to me, and I work on European funding, so we said, let's make this application, brought the partners together. And we're really happy to be able to get this 1,128,000, which most of it actually, a good amount of it is going to the funding, but it's a 2-year program. So we have to fund 30 SME partnerships over this 2-year period. So the first year we had to set up the project. And now we have an 8-month program to actually, which we launched in March. So we are very happy that you're here, the 30 selected SMEs, and 10 of you are here now. So congratulations. And we've come a long way to get this all set up. So then, as we know, fashion is very polluting, a very destructive industry in many ways, as the fast fashion as we understand it. And I'm not going to go into the detail because it was all very well explained about how polluting and how non-circular fashion is at the moment. So what we wanted to do was a bit different. And the philosophy of this project from the beginning when we spoke with Paloma was, how do we make fashion circular like everybody wants to do? Everybody talks about circularity, but actually we wanted to be focused on, what I like about working with Paloma is the authenticity, it's always the first word that comes to my mind, or the real activism, that we need to make this radical bottom-up approach, to collaborate together and to work together. So the idea was, how do we do, and they wanted us to develop an accelerator. And we said, well, what we don't need is an accelerator like the old accelerators that just keep wanting to make these big companies that are the unicorns, and this Silicon Valley model, that you have to compete and be the best, and only 2% of them make it. And when they make it, they get gobbled up by another big company, or they want to become the next Google, in the tech industry or whatever, So we said, that's why the A you can see is upside down, because we wanted to turn the accelerator concept on its head as well, because we wanted a collaborative accelerator, and where people work together, and it's not competitive, it's about working together, it's about creating a community, it's about really connecting also with the heart, and not only the ego, the mind. So the ego to the eco transition is very important for this this transition. So we want eco accelerators, no? So we call this slow accelerator. If you have slow fashion, so how can we make slow accelerators? Because you can't have slow fashion or circular fashion, and the accelerator mentality is the old model, and so we're trying to innovate across the whole piece, and it's a difficult work to do because we're going against the entire current, of the way the world, how fast everything moves. And so, of course, this program is being launched. We're very excited about trying to put this together. I'll tell you the partnership that we have. So here is the coordinator, IED. Thanks for hosting this here in this amazing, innovative space with the innovation lab specifically that are trying to look for breakthrough innovation. Texfor, which is a confederation of the textile industry in Spain, the most important one in Spain. So they represent really the industry, which is that side of the production, which is actually something we have to try and preserve, because we know most of that got outsourced, and we're trying to recover the precious European industry. And I heard recently that there was very little industry left in Europe. In fact, It's only in Sabadell, in parts of Spain, we have some industry. In Italy, I heard the Chinese funds have bought most of what's in Prato. So really, the funds actually own them. So how do we recover the local industries, and make them again resilient in the local economy and relocalize? So circular economy is also about relocalizing. And then we have CircuLab, who brings together the speciality for circular thinking, circular business models, and helping run workshops to help businesses understand how to apply circularity actually into their business. Finova is a fantastic partner in Brussels as well, that they deal with all the communications and dissemination and alliance building, connecting us with the European institutions and other stakeholders. So CircuLab is in France, and we are mainly in Spain, and the rest of the partners. And of course, the Circular project in collaboration with Human Nation, which we did this to kind of bring the concept, the philosophy around it as well, but also, of course, to connect it with all the designers and the work that Paloma is doing, which is to bring, all the designers together and giving them visibility through her work. So I just very briefly to say that fashion, as you know, touches all the SDGs that I just noticed, is this not being, oh, so I'm just talking to, all right. So I just realized that we're not sharing the screen. Okay. Obviously, I was being very dramatic and in my explanation, but everybody's looking at me and not looking at the screen. So I was doing a good job at keeping you entertained, I think. But so let me see. This is where I was. So very quickly, yeah, there is actually. I'm not that interesting, honestly, yeah, because I usually like to back up myself with a presentation. I had everybody looking at me like, wow. I thought like I'm some TED talker, Okay, sorry. So I tried to raise my voice a bit better too. So you can look at the numbers here. So this is the European funding. CircularInnoBooster is the project. The program we're launching is called CirCoAX. The A is upside down because we're turning this whole thing around. And we want to try and create collaborative, the co is the collaborative, co-creation, co-design, acceleration. So it's about being collaborative, circular, and accelerating the slow. We want to accelerate transition to a different kind of society and economy. CirCoAX, we know about the damage of fashion. We talked about this. We've already talked about this. These are the partners. I just wanted to show you so you know that these are 5 different cooperations. And here we are all working together. So itself is a consortium partnership work, which is also very exciting. I just wanted to just really highlight this point. Actually, Paloma raised about linking this to SDGs. And it's amazing how fashion touches on so many of the SDGs. And I was just looking at them and I thought, I think it's so, like, everything makes so much sense, like how fashion touches the water, of course, because of the microplastics, 10% of the emissions, responsible consumption, of course, the industry, inequalities, because a lot of women work in fashion, a lot of people who are being exploited, and all the sweatshops, and I heard about trafficking women in Greece, in sweatshops. Of course, this, life on land, because if we have, all the pollution that's going into the land, into the water, if we can have biodegradable products that can also regenerate land. The only one I had a problem with was this one, decent work. I love, I think that's a good idea, but economic growth, and the word growth was a problem, but that's always the thing that stands out. How can you have growth? So that was another question around what do we do with this growth? We can grow in different ways, so I think this accelerator can also work to help us grow in different ways, grow. I went to the summit of the inner development growth today, which was launched in Stockholm, and it's called the inner. So to accelerate SDGs, you have to have inner development growth, because if we don't change ourselves, we can't change the world. So these ideas of growth, we can grow in so many different ways, economically, in the sense of creating economic resilience, creating local economies, having more SMEs, having more this share of the value chain. You know, there's so many ways of growing. Then our idea of growth is GDP. You know, so I think those are the things that we want to try and bring into this kind of discussion. And so there's a lot of things to touch about. So this is the project. We have 360,000 euros to distribute to 30 projects that were selected. Each one will get 12,000 euros to implement their prototype and their ideas. But it's important to say that this is not what this is about. This is all about all the other services that we're offering, like mentorship and you know, the workshops that we're doing, and the services that we want to offer, the courses that we're offering in the program. And then I'll tell you, these are the 30 protagonists. Of course, 10 of the projects are here, and we'll tell you about the other 20 a bit later. But these are the 30 projects that have been selected. So it's wonderful to have such an amazing diversity of projects in designers and makers category, let's say, or industry and manufacturing, education and training, communication platforms. And that's what's another thing we wanted to look at, is diversity across all the projects. Because of course, many of these cross, you know, some of them are also doing great communication work, even though they're in the industry. They're doing, you know, great branding and talking about this. And that's also very important to do the communication, as well as, you know, educating. So in a way, some of the industries are even educating the customers, you know, by teaching them different ways of doing things. So it's not that clear cut, but so this is just to let you know that we are addressing the main challenges, I think, altogether of the fashion industry. I think this is a standard presentation for the project, but I just wanted to highlight some of the spirit. These are the great technical experts and coaches that we count on for the project. So we have, each project has a coach that they work with throughout the program, and then they can go to experts to ask for help for specific topics. And we have chats, we have a signal group, we have ways of communicating internally where we try and help each other. And of course, we have to go improving all that as we're learning about this process. So the mandatory courses that you can see there are offered so that we identify the best, what the needs of the SMEs are, like circular business leadership, sustainable circular fashion and textile, technical product development, on policy, branding, all kinds of, you know, support that SMEs need to do their project. So these are all the different categories. You can see that later in the recording or in the presentation, which we will share. So I won't go into a lot of detail, because the most important thing is that you present your projects. The other thing, talking about natural cycle, is, you know, we like to also be inspired by nature. So we decided to use the seasons as a way of organizing our program. So just a little bit of inspiration there, that, you know, we have also, we understand we have to slow down to accelerate, you know, we have to stop to go faster sometimes. So we put the summer as a break time where we can reflect, we can be there, be in touch, you know, through messaging, through emails, but really just to slow down, because summer, even if you try hard to work, in the northern countries, they manage to work in summer. I don't know how, but in the south of Europe, it's much more difficult. But yeah, so here we go. And regarding some just very important news and events to highlight, recently we got a prize for this project. Only yesterday, the Jean-Baptiste Say, which is a award for entrepreneurial excellence, executive leadership, and innovation, that was handed over. So it's good that the project is getting recognition, but also we have been accepted into the Green Week as an official partner, so with the European Commission. Today, the Startup Europe Awards, which is launched, which is an initiative of Finova. So what's going to happen is you will all have possibility to submit your project to Startup Europe Awards. And of course, this awards is a very traditional, it's kind of, it's breakthrough in the sense that it's awarding innovation, but the way it's organized is that there is a jury and you will get selected and so on. So what we decided is also innovate there. And we worked with Finova to come up with some, we said we don't want just one or two people to win, because that's really old fashioned. You know, if you want to be collaborative, you know, we want everybody to win, because everybody's got great ideas, everybody's got great projects, you know, and the jury doesn't always know you. So we want to give an award to every 30 of our SMEs, But you can then go to the official award after as well in November. But from our point of view, all our SMEs that have been accepted, they're already excellent projects, and they should all get the award, you know, and they should then go and compete if they want to, you know, into the program, which is also very interesting because it gives you visibility and the best projects get selected across all the 4 COSME projects, which is about 120 projects altogether. So there are 30 projects in each of the 4. We are one of 4 COSME projects at European level that was selected. So there'll be a great opportunity to meet also other projects at European level. And just to also say that what's upcoming is the other 20 SMEs that are not here, they will get a possibility to present. There will be 10 going to Barcelona as part of the EU Green Week. So today we are here thanks to the umbrella event of the Circular Sustainable Fashion Week, which is the most important event so far for us. The next most important event we've identified is the European Green Week. So we'll be going there with another 10 SMEs. And the next important event we identified was, again, that will be in June, and that will be the UN International Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, because we give a lot of importance to SMEs, who are 99% of this industrial fabric. Most companies, and they make 55% of the employment in Europe, are SMEs, even though we always fixate on the big players. And SMEs are usually the small guys that get squashed in the value chain of the big players, no? But if we can stand up and stick together and be stronger and more resilient in the economy, that's always a better thing. So here we go. That's it. That's from CircuAX and by CircularInnoBooster. That's important. Thanks to European Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, and I'm so sorry for my despite. So now, yes, we are going to receive pirates. I don't know if I know to pronounce it very well the name. Egypt. Okay. Well, as I said, the future is for the young people. We need a disruptive fashion, and here is a very good example. Welcome.
Thanks. How do I find my I'm sorry, guys, I'm not used to PCs. Yeah, no, I share it. How do I full screen? Sí, perfecto. Aquí. Esto. Bueno.
¿Está completa?
No, no está completa, pero bueno. Bueno. Sí. Sorry, guys. Hi, everyone. Talking a little bit about doom data. Where are 8 billion people on the planet, eating, sleeping, taking the car, and dressing each day? In order to cope with such a demand, the textile industry generates 85% of the microplastics that are floating in our oceans and is responsible for 10% of all CO2 emissions every year. It's estimated
that currently the clothing that we have in the market, that 50% is actually coming from plastic. People want to change. People want to buy more sustainable. There is a recent survey from McKinsey that is showing that 60% of the people interviewed are actually going already out of their way in order to do so. And from Inditex to Kering, a total of 43 industry giants have vowed to completely eliminate emissions from their supply chain. These same companies also committed to replace polluting materials. For instance, like Peggy mentioned, H&M is planning to do so by 2030. But if you go shopping in the high street, we don't see that reflected in the offer that we currently have. So we need an evolution towards more functional and responsible fabrics. And this is where Pyretex comes in. We offer alternative responsible fabrics. The fabrics that we develop are circular, scalable, and locally produced, that are better for our bodies and better for the planet. Because the clothes that we wear have an impact, and we want to make that a positive one. We aim to replace synthetic fibers by natural ones, natural functional fibers. Some of the fibers that you see here and that we're using are PLA, which is a biological industrial waste, banana agri-waste, kapok, and nettle. All these plants have natural properties, and we're trying to preserve those natural properties throughout our supply chain. So how do we do it? It all starts with a plant. So in this particular case, this is seaweed. Seaweed is coming from the North Atlantic, and it has anti-oxidative properties. We then create a fiber and spin it into a yarn in a process that is very similar to lyocell. And then we knit a Pyretex fabric locally here in Europe. And for that, we try to minimize the impact as much as possible, using sustainable practices as much as we can, by, for instance, low impact dyes that use closed water loops systems. And we also test that during that different stages of the production, that the natural properties of the plant are preserved. Pyretex is an R&D and textile supplier with over 40 textile formulas. Here you see some examples of what we use. I brought some samples in case you want to try and feel. So here you see some of the fibers that we're using. And below you can see the properties that are actually in our fabrics. For instance, with the seaweed example, you will see that it has antibacterial properties, skin care. There are different fabrics that have, for instance, UV protection or quick drying properties. And obviously we work with certification as well throughout all the process. We ourselves are OCS, GOTS, and GRS certified. Being a company that specializes in responsible, well, I'm saying responsible because it's sustainable, I don't dare to use the S word anymore. Responsible fabrics. Yeah. Actually, one of the most interesting fibers that we think is around currently are regenerative fibers, such as the abaca fiber. And regenerative farming practices actually actively contribute to the environment by improving soil quality and biodiversity. In fact, like using regenerative fibers, instead of like minimizing the harm that we're doing, so doing less harm, we are focusing into doing better. For this particular abaca fiber, we have developed it into a moussa, into a fabric called moussa, together with Nemoussa from France, our partner. And it's actually, the fiber comes from a banana tree that grows naturally and is one of the strongest fibers that nature has to offer. But the challenge here is that it's also very rough fiber, and it's very difficult and actually to develop it into a fabric that is working or that could be used in the textile industry. Currently, it's only on the market mixed with synthetic fibers. So thanks to the help of CirCoAX and the funding of CirCoAX, we're actually researching and developing it in order to create a high quality circular fabric, which is called the Pyretex Moussa family. Sustainability starts with data. That's why we teamed up with an external company that measures the impact of all our productions. So that way we know exactly how much pesticides, water, and CO2 we are saving compared to a traditional fabric that is in the market. Pyretex has been in the market since 2018. And these are some examples of the clients that we work with so far. We can kind of distinguish two clients. We can distinguish the big one that is kind of lost track of their supply chain and that are now coming back due to customer demand and are interested in maybe working again in Europe. And then we also have a lot of new, young, fashion, sustainable companies, which obviously represent the future. We support all these brands with our marketing, providing them content such as videos, such as descriptions of their processes, content adapted to their consumer. And this way, we are not only reassuring that the customer is receiving the correct information, but we're also making sure that there's no greenwashing going around, which is important. So yeah. That was it. Well, thank you so much. My name is Ietje. I'm head of operations at Pyretex. I'm working together with Rachel from Nemoussa, who couldn't be here because she's based in France. Thank you so much for listening, guys. I also brought some garments. If anybody wants to touch the garments besides the fabrics, they're on a rack in the back.
Thanks so much. Remember all the project that you have to make the presentation like elevator pitch, just 5-8 minutes, okay? The next project that we are watching is from Charlotte Billot at Trade, and I think is online, okay?
Yes, I am.
Is prepared?
Can you hear me?
Okay, we hear you. Welcome, Charlotte. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Should I share my screen because I have no information regarding the presentation? So
how can we share the screen? They have to share or we have to make something in the computer? Okay.
can you see my screen?
Yes, now we see your screen.
Okay, perfect. So I'll try to be clear and fast. So this is the presentation for Uptrade. And one question for you is, do you think that scallop shell, a left-handed golf club for kids, and coconut oil are going to save the fashion? I'm pretty sure that you think that probably not, to be fair, but it might help, and I will explain how. So I'm Charlotte, I'm the co-founder and creator of Uptrade. And before launching Uptrade, I was working for many years in the bartering industry. So we exchanged goods with media campaign optimization, and I was in charge of reselling the product that we got, and basically reselling underperforming assets or leftovers, which needed to find a second life. I actually developed my own method to find second life to everything, and actually trained not to think in silo, and that's what I think is missing in fashion right now. So at Uptrade, we actually think different. So that's me on the left side, and that's Eleonore, my co-founder, on the right side. So as the previous project said, the fashion industry is actually an unfortunate champion. She said that it was one of the highest emitter of greenhouse gases globally. It uses 98 million tons of non-renewable resources each year, and 93 billion cubic meter of water, and so on. Our market at Uptrade is, we are focusing on the waste that is produced each year by the textile industry. And we estimate that 12% of fabrics are wasted every year, which represent 120 billion euros of value. On the other side, you have a lot of new solutions that are emerging, and they're actually looking for a new sourcing solutions, which we think that need to meet the waste on the market. And that's where we launched Uptrade. So it's actually the first digital platform, B2B platform, to repurpose stocks of dormant fabrics. Our mission, is to prevent waste in the fashion industry by finding a solution and a second life to every fabric that we can find. Our business model is quite simple. We only work on a commission. We only work on a commission base. So we take 35% commission on each meter of fabric we sell. We don't store anything. Goods are going straight from the supplier to the buyer. We have therefore a limited cash flow, and we sell leftovers for our suppliers to our customers thanks to our platform. We are also thinking about subscription, and that's where CirCoAX could be of great help. Sorry, each time that I'm trying to move the video, it's not working. So for our suppliers and customers, it has a double interest. First, it's an economic interest, and the second one is an ecological interest. For the economic interest for the supplier, so the people to whom we buy the stock from, it's actually that we transform a cost of destruction or a cost of warehousing into a revenue by buying the stock back. And an ecological solution, because actually right now it's only the beginning of the second life way of thinking in the fashion industry. For our suppliers, I will show you right now the benefits. So we are actually a platform where you can find pretty much any type of textile. So it's a centralized procurement. It's a fast delivery. We only deliver in 1 to 2 weeks. Whereas if you do the production, then you'll probably wait for 3 to 4 months. You can buy reasonable quantities for a really reasonable price. We ensure traceability, so we actually make sure that we know where the inventories are coming from, and we can offer the services of a sourcing team that is dedicated to your needs. And that's the end of our presentation. So if you have leftovers, or if you know someone that has leftovers, or if you're looking for dormant inventories of fabrics, please give us a call. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time, and good luck with all the work that you are going to do. As Peggy said, we want to work from the bottom, and now we have listen Spanish, Spanish a project from Spain, but collaborate with other initiatives from Europe, Madrid, that are working together the social and ecological impact the fashion industry. It's Madrid with Mónica Colmena. Welcome, Mónica.
A ver, ¿cómo lo paso? Aquí está. Y ya. Esa. Paso, perdona. Para pasar. Estoy ok.
Sí, aquí abajo.
Aquí, vale. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here presenting our project. Sorry. Now, good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here presenting our project. I'm afraid our project is going to be quite different to yours, but I think we are all of us in the same boat. So I think you will find it useful and interesting. So let me see. How can I? I need help. I can't pass the slide. How can I do this?
Pasar al siguiente.
Yes.
Abajo.
Aquí, okay.
Arriba.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you. So to understand this project, we need to go back a few years in time, maybe 25 years. At that time, nobody was interested in this issue of the used clothes. And mainly local Caritas in Spain was doing this job of collecting clothes. This activity was increasing during the years in parallel with the consumption of clothes. And a big number of insertion companies were promoted by local Caritas with the purpose of generating jobs for vulnerable workers. Considering this, the logical consequence seems to be joining forces to solve common problems and improve the process. In this moment is when Moda appears, at the beginning as a social project promoted by Caritas Spain, and then as a cooperative since 2020, March 2020. Moda is composed of 44 insertion entities, all of them non-profit, and they are linked to Caritas Spain, and all of them have a large experience in the collection of clothes in containers. The main purpose of Moda is to support its cooperative members in the fight against poverty and exclusion through the social and labor insertion of people at risk of social exclusion, mainly through activities related to textile waste management within the framework of the social and solidarity economy in the line with the environmental care. Through a network of more than 6,000 containers, during 2021, Moda collected almost 41 million kilos of clothes in containers. This means almost the 40% of the total collected in Spain. At this point, I would like to remark the effort we are doing in going one step beyond the sustainability of the process. We have set the objective by the end of 2024 of reaching global carbon neutrality. So we are starting to implement different activities to achieve this. One of the activities we are implementing right now is the sensorization of all these containers, the other containers, in order to optimize the process. And that will mean that we are going to reduce cost, and of course, we are going to reduce CO2 emissions to the atmosphere. Regarding the sorting and processing of textiles, we have 41 local transfer plants and 3 industrial plants in Barcelona, Bilbao, and Valencia, where preparation for reuse and recycling is done. With the collaboration of Inditex, last year we installed in these integral treatment plants fiber sort technology. With this technology, you can do the sorting by composition, color, and structure of the fibers. So you can imagine the huge advance for recycling with this technology. It is worth highlighting as well that the project during 2021 reached
the figure of 1,150 jobs, and almost 50% of the total jobs were reserved for people at risk of social exclusion. The consolidation of the project has allowed closing the year with a total, the 2021 year, with a total of 118 Modarre shops. Today, Modarre stays in almost 79 cities in Spain. But the most important thing is not only that we are giving clothes a second life through our shops. One of the most important things for us is that, for example, throughout the year 2021, thousands of people without resources have purchased more than 200,000 garments donated to people in situations of social vulnerability through our shops. This means that they go to a shop, they can purchase as another regular person in a standardized manner and at no cost for them. But it's a step more for the dignification of the person. Regarding the other destinations of the garments, of course, we are not able for the moment to assume the amount of clothes we collect. So some of them are sent abroad or some others go down cycling. During these years, we have worked establishing new partnerships. You can see some of them here, all of these enterprises. I will highlight maybe Inditex or Mango, because we are working with them in the industrial preparation for recycling with post-consumer garments for the manufacture of new fabrics, denim and cotton. Another priority line of action includes the different awareness-raising activities that we carry out in the area of responsible consumption of clothing. By the end of 2023, we want to reach at least 10,000 people with our campaigns and workshops. These actions have been prioritized in primary schools, high schools, and universities, and we are developing different awareness materials so that educative centers can include them in their curriculum. This activity has been implemented in the past by one of our partners, FIT in Catalonia, and we are now in the moment of disseminate this activity to the rest of the national territory through our partners. We have developed these materials to provide resources to schools and educational centers to address the issue of sustainability, the reduction, reuse, and recycling of waste, responsible consumption, and the circular economy based on the specific case of textiles. These are the materials we have developed. All of them are materials that are intended for teachers. They can download them, are adapted to the learning process of each center and with the methodology of gamification. For the moment, you can see the first 3 learning units and the dossier for teachers we have already developed, and we are testing this. And in the future, maybe by the end of May, we will have the other 3. We will cover the age range for 3 to 10 years and the adults workshop. Given that the textile waste problem is a global issue, the potential at the territorial level is vast. For this reason, with the support of CirCoAX, we want to start expanding the working model of Modarre at the European level, initially through entities with similar characteristics. For this reason, we have contacted Vesti Solidale, a non-profit social cooperative specialized in selective waste collection services, including textile, promoted by Caritas Ambrosiana in Italy, in order to share good practices and experiences, mainly in this line of awareness, so that we will translate all these materials that we are developing, first to English, French, and Italian, and then to the Spain's co-official languages. Mainly Galician, Catalan, and Basque. So the idea is to share with them these materials in order that they will be able to replicate them at a local level. And then the visits from Barcelona to Milan, Barcelona, to exchange the model of second-hand, all of they are doing regarding with the shops, the treatment plants, and all the model. We want to share all the experiences. Well, you can see at the photograph, the board game that we have developed, and it's great for the children. So this is it. Thank you very much.
Amazing. All the projects are amazing and all the projects are complementary, you know. And now we are receive Julia Ferrer from Beggy. She's online. Welcome, Julia. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes?
absolutely perfect.
Okay, I hear you very well. So
Perfect.
the floor is yours. You can share your screen and start now.
Okay, so hope you can see my screen properly. And thanks for being here today. As well said, my name is Julia, and I'll be presenting you Biggie, a sustainable nightwear and educational project. So first of all, who we are. Our company DNA is based in two main things: ideas and how to develop them. So on one hand, there's Arzu, who is an experienced textile producer from Istanbul. He has large experience in the industry, and she takes care of the fabric and material sourcing and the production of our product. And then on the other hand, there's me. I'm a graphic designer specialized in surface pattern for textiles and also branding. So we can create the creative resources in-house and also develop the print design collections for our product. So here's our mission: less consumption, less production, less impact on the environment. And how do we do that? Our approach is creating a sustainable and gender-neutral brand of pajamas for kids with an adjusting system that can adapt to its growing. Tackling that, it will be better to adapt to its growing and make the product last more than the usual ones, and creating a solution for all this wasting garment problem that we have with kids that are growing so fast. So also, apart from that, we are also value teaching focused through the print design of our products, but also with educational resources that we develop in our educational platform we're planning to create in the future. So with all of that, we are creating a sustainable garment, but also educational tools, creating a positive impact on nature, but also on society. So here you can see some of the photos of our prototypes that they are already tested and developed. Both parents and kids are so excited about it. And after that, I would like to share a video which explains a little bit better who we are and why this is important and making an impact to the industry and the society as large. So I think that now I can stop sharing my screen, and our colleagues here in IAD, they will share the video so you can see it.
We are Biggie, and we dream for a better world. Biggie is a sustainable and gender-neutral brand of pajamas for kids that takes eco-responsibility to another level. The textile industry is one of the most polluting ones worldwide. All of this combined with the fact that kids grow so fast, it ends up generating a lot of wasted resources to our planet. That's why we thought it was time to start thinking differently. Creating a garment that can grow with the child and be more durable, which makes it more sustainable. Our patterns are thought to be as zero waste as possible. With our sizing and fitting system, the same size can be adapted to a lot of different body types and heights. Behind a brand, there are always people who make it possible. In this case, the Biggie project takes place in two opposite extremes of the Mediterranean geography, Spain and Turkey. That the two of them had the textile business tradition so rooted in their culture. Julia Ferrer, a young textile graphic designer from Barcelona, and Arzu Oran, an experienced producer from Istanbul. We are the head and heart of Biggie. Together, we created a new approach of seeing kids' loungewear and demonstrated once more that the collaboration of different cultures, ideas, and backgrounds enrichen and strengthen anything we do. We may be from far away in geography. Still, we are together for the same purpose: Start making things differently, because every significant change begins with a first step. Earth is making her call. Let's change the way we eat, the way we live, how we behave in nature, and the way we produce, supply, demand, and consume. As part of the industry, we are responsible for finding new ways of moving to slow fashion. Making small productions and limited collections, we take care that not a single piece is wasted. Kids will be the future builders. That's why we wanted to focus on them, not just on their comfort, but also on their education. Biggie is more than just pajamas. It's also a community. There's a whole universe around the brand that provides support, educational resources, and tips that can make a difference in our behavior as parents and our children's education values. This universe of New World values is also so present in our print designs that funnily and cutely transmits these messages. Respect for nature is the core value of the brand. Still, some more are crucial for a better and fairer future, and equality is one of them. Equality in opportunities, no matter what is your gender, origins, beliefs, or who you love. These values are also well represented in our products. In production, we use recycled fabrics and eco-friendly techniques in printing that also saves water. We just have one line in every collection. We don't make any gender difference, so that's even more sustainable. Less production, less consumption, less impact on the environment. We are Biggie, and yes, we dream for a better world. But we're not only dreaming, we already started working for it.
Thank you so much, Julia. And congratulations for your project.
Thanks a lot for being here and for hearing and listening to me today.
Good luck. And now we are going to watch another video from Garcia Bello. Is called the project, and Juliana Garcia is going to introduce their project. Welcome to
Hi,
CirCoAX.
Paloma. Hi, everyone. Thank you to be here. And thank you, Circular Sustainable Fashion Week and CirCoAX to invite us to present our work. Well, we made a short video to share our project. And we made in English, but also in Spanish. It's important for us to share in both of the languages because we are from Argentina and our partner is from Valencia. And we work here in Netherlands. And well, we would like to share our video and enjoy it.
Hola, soy Juliana García Bello, soy diseñadora de indumentaria egresada de la Universidad de Buenos Aires, Argentina. Soy fundadora y diseñadora de García Bello, una marca de ropa sostenible que trabaja con metodología upcycling, recuperando materia prima de descarte. Actualmente residimos en Arnhem, en los Países Bajos. Desde el 2017 venimos analizando e investigando metodologías propias para recuperar materia prima y trabajar con lo que ya existe. Lo hacemos de una manera simple y es posible en diferentes escalas de producción. Para este proyecto en particular nos asociamos con Gonzalo Villamax, un diseñador argentino que actualmente tiene su local en Valencia, España. Creemos que compartir la metodología upcycling que desarrollamos desde García Bello podría ser una solución a mover el stock que él actualmente tiene en su tienda y que no está en circulación. Como nexo vamos a trabajar en conjunto con Catalina, una estudiante que nosotros conocemos y que vive actualmente en Valencia, con la que este año desarrollamos en conjunto una colección para su máster de moda sostenible y codiseño que desarrolló en Valencia. En esa colección ella utilizó como inspiración nuestra metodología y la llevó a cabo en España. Gracias a esa colección pudimos comprender que nuestra metodología podía ser aplicada en otros lugares. Como objetivo nos planteamos desarrollar 8 tipologías que sean reproducibles y escalables. Los patrones de estas prendas no solamente van a ser utilizados en esta oportunidad, sino que Gonzalo puede volver a utilizarlos y desarrollar nuevas prendas cada vez que la tienda tenga material de stock acumulado.
Thank you so much, Juliana. And congratulations.
Thank you, Paloma. And well, it will be a pleasure. It will be a pleasure always to share our work, and to be here is a nice experience for us. And well, congratulations everyone for this amazing event. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Keep working, keep working. Okay, for Circular Sustainable Fashion Week, it's very important, all the sustainable development goals. For this, we make the catwalk, call it Pasarela 17, because we think that the Sustainable Development 17 is the most important, the alliance in order to get the goals. For this, now we are received Reawaken. It's a very special project for me because we are I'm very close for Valeria, and I know they work for years. So it's very amazing receive here, and I'm very emotional with this. So Valeria, the floor is yours. Congratulations. And
Hi everyone. Thank you, Paloma.
thank you.
¿Cuál es la vuestra?
Y luego les voy a dar. Quiero hablar después.
No, eso, que hable y en cuanto le des ya está, ¿vale?
Vale. When you think about vintage, upcycling, antique textile pieces, so you also have to think in the connection that this establishes. We want this connection to be not just a legacy, but a story that continues to develop through time.
Who we are? Passionate change makers, visionaries, and innovators of an aesthetic fashion system that seek beauty by recovering the uniqueness of lost stories in old and forgotten textile pieces. Valeria Scoppa, fashion designer, a craftswoman, and seamstress, passionate about nature, history, and archaeology. This motivated me to know and understand other cultures. I am a designer with an artisan soul. The stories and tales as a traditional legacy have marked my path. The knowledge transmitted by maternal grandmother has deeply bound me to nature. For me, it's important to actively interact in a positive way with the environment and create the foundation of a collaborative system. Founder of ABC, a sustainable fashion brand which produces unique and limited edition pieces. I own a really big wardrobe. I didn't stop to count the pieces in it. Many are inherited and much loved pieces from my mother's, aunt's, and grandmother's wardrobe. some stolen from my brother's wardrobe because he loved to have new pieces, while I love to revisit the possibilities of a garment.
Lucilla Bellini, Italian photographer and artist who works both in the fashion and fine art world. I capture beauty through melancholic elements, creating a poetic universe of vision and dreams. I focus my interest on poetic, emotional, and strongly cinematic image. My artistic research is centered on seeking an instant of beauty, creating new visionary worlds. Since 2008, I've been working as a professional photographer and co-founder of French Fries Creative Communication Studio. My photos are taken exclusively with natural light, and in the interaction of the subject with the environment is essential to achieve that moment of grace where nature and human being utopianly balance each other. Reawaken is a collaborative project, a need to preserve the real and emotional history of textile pieces, to keep the memory alive as an opportunity not to fall into oblivion. We know that time is the greatest of all iconoclasts, consuming both physically and through forgetfulness an object-subject.
We have decided to become iconoclasts with our project, breaking the evolutionary pattern of time through revalorization. We want to add chapter to the history already lived by the textile garment, whether the story comes from family heritage, or it is the story of the life of people met by chance, through the love of antique dealers or hunters of vintage pieces. We are about all iconoclasts because we want to break the pattern of fast fashion that see in the extreme productive urgency the only form of its existence.
Our mission: create a verified history of old or antique textile pieces by following its journey through time and its change to co-creation and redesign, documenting the transformation with photography and video, producing a unique design that corresponds to the client personality and needs by being in fashion without following fashion, enhancing a beloved piece and continuing to transmit this love with updated design, learning the stories of the past and transmitting this knowledge. Our motivation: with overconsumption, we generate an excess of residues. Consumption that in most cases is not real, is produced based on a fiction and hypothetical demand. We are therefore generating waste even before we reach the intermediate stage of purchase and used product, generating a necessary waste of resources, creating a chain reaction and irreversibly altering the structure of the environmental ecosystem. Through the recovery and re-evaluation of all textile, we have a lower environmental impact than the purchase of newly produced textiles. The upcycling and the study through design and pattern making of pieces that can be transformed and reused over time through a customer support service create a movement towards circularity.
Under this concept and also involving the user client in a more symbiotic way, we aspire to create a virtuous circle by bringing the co-creation formula closer to self-expression using the story as a thread and the image to make it real, aesthetic, and as a memory of an act. An act that is the basis for the preservation of a local natural system, a social and a cultural system. This is a form to preserve history through the fibers of time, creating wearable art. Conclusion: the garment created or co-created and carried values will then become part of a selected wardrobe. The involvement of the person, consumer, will be fundamental, becoming the holder of the value of the product.
Reconnect, reimagine, redesign. Valeria craftswomanship blends with Lucilla documentary eye to tell and create a story that goes from the past through the present for generating a sustainable future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, both of you, Lucila and Valeria. A beautiful project. I can't wait to watch to see the results and all the conclusion of the project. It's amazing. Well, now we are going to receive to Pepe Costa, very a name very Spanish name, but a project very European. So Pepe is prepared. I can see it.
Hello.
Are you here?
Yes.
But we can't see you. We
Ah,
couldn't see you.
sorry. Now better.
Yo le veo aquí. Hi, Pepe. How are you?
How are you doing?
Well.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, sure. Anytime.
The floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much. May I share my screen? Hello? I'm sharing my screen, right? 1 minute.
Actually, no.
Can you see it?
It's okay.
Okay, there we go. Okay, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to explain what we do at CirCoAX, right? We set up this project as for keeping oceans free of microplastics, as it said. And okay, we see the problem because there is when we wash synthetic garments, they release a lot of microplastics, and these microplastics, some of them, they release a lot of these tiny materials by the thousands. So, and we saw that there was a correlation between the number of washes and the microplastics emissions. And yeah, it could be that the more we wash, the more it can pollute. Not all the garments behave the same, but it can be, especially for the synthetic ones. Okay, why is this a problem? Basically, because you know, we as we said, they are so small, so tiny. You cannot. There is no way to remove them, and some of them, the synthetic ones, they can take hundreds of years to disintegrate in the ocean. Okay, because of that, these tiny microparticles ends in the marine biota, and this pollution, because okay, you know, humans eat fish and live by the sea. This pollution is a really growing concern for human health. In the EU, there is very strong regulations coming in for the microplastics. I think by the end of this year, it's coming a lot of you know, regulations and way to find to stop this solution. So what we built is a solution that educates the fashion users on the problem. We say this is our main issue. The second point, which we think is quite interesting, is that through our system, which I will describe now, we can empower the end user to know when, how, and where to properly recycle at the right time. We can help by this way to accomplish this coming very strong EU regulations on micro and nanoparticle pollution. By this way, we can become a part, or we can help the infrastructure for the circular textile, because what we do is we tell the people when, how, where to recycle properly. And because of that, we are really very well aligned on the SDGs, among them this clean water, responsible consumption, and life below the water. Okay, the system works very easily. Let me explain. We developed and patented a label that changes color with the washes. Okay, and we can program these changes of the color. And when this change of the color occurs, there is a QR code that becomes readable. And if the end user wants to scan this QR code through our platform, we put in contact the end consumer with the brand to tell them instructions on how to properly recycle the garments. Basically, we are a label to mark the end of the life, or the end of the high pollution life of a garment. And then by this way, the garment gets properly recycled, and properly, doesn't ends into the waste, or doesn't get dumped into the waste. This is the system. It's running in several customers. We are now in discussions with really big companies. Hope I can tell you some good news on this project. And for the CirCoAX, we partnered with a company in Holland called Astronaut 9, and we are developing a special garment for them, for which will be it's made with very nice fabric, very long duration, it's organic, and it's a nice project that we are on the definition of the communication right now. And we are planning this garment to last, let's say, 8 to 9 years, because it's really well made in 100% cotton, and we saw that the particle emission really can sustain very long washing. But let's see how this comes, because we are now in the process for this. And just value proposition, very simple. This 2025 that the EU members have to recycle at least 50% of the textile waste. This coming extended producer responsibility coming also for the textiles in the EU, so they have to recycle. They have to, it cannot be wasted or cannot be exported either into Africa or into other countries. And we are providing an opportunity for the companies to improve and to be more sustainable. They can also monetize the next cycle of clothing, because they can help this recycling. So we turn some negative residue into positive. So it's kind of improving and monetizing. And this is basically our value proposition. Do it very fast. We are a company which was founded back in 1984, but this is a new department. It's kind of a startup because it's very new. We have some expertise, and we could develop this kind of label, which has a lot of technology, a lot of problems to program it very well. But we had the right partners. And yes, we are the first to the market. There is no one in the market offering what we offer. And we are very well aligned with these textile waste regulations. We think we can help both the end users and especially the brands to properly dispose their garments at the right time. And that's it. That's my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pepe. It's a pleasure for us. And thank you so much to join us at CirCoAX by CircularInnoBooster.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Take care.
When I imagine what CirCoAX should be like, I was clear that we have to do it on different fronts, from the industry, from the sector, to achieve a global change on a holistic development. That is why today you are saying such different projects from different perspectives of the industry. Another example of that is Infinitive Athletic from Francois Devy. That is our next project. So welcome to this afternoon, Francois. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Paloma. Thank you, everybody. My name is Francois. I'm the co-founder of Infinite Athletics, which we believe is the first full circular solution for the world of sportswear, basically. So what we did is basically starting from a blank page. So we tried to analyze what the issue was into the textile industry, which is basically its linearity. The fact that you need to extract steel, 97% of the clothing are still extracting natural resources. It contaminates like hell in terms of dyeing bath, chemicals, etc. In terms of usage, it's obviously not very sustainable because only 30% of the clothes are being used. The rest is used stock being dumped. And at the end, basically, only 30% of the used clothes are being either repaired, reused, or a little percent, 1% is being recycled. So we try to take care, obviously it's a little bit ambitious, of all those issues into our collection. And basically mapping it with our solution. So for the extraction, and sorry, some of the stuff is in Spanish, some of, in terms of extraction, we are recollecting waste that was never recollected before, because it has been thrown away for the last 50 years. I will come back to this. And we recycle it either mechanically or chemically. In terms of production, we are applying technologies that are already existing in the market, such as dope dye, the antimicrobial, the use of high gauge machines in order to get high quality garments that is saving water, CO2, and that is durable. And in terms of use, we are trying to standardize our collection so that it's not 15 colors per collections. We're trying to standardize our offer. And at the end, basically, what we want to do, and we are doing, is recollecting our garments and recycle them into the same loop as the first one, which is basically the combination of the first raw material recycling with the final garment recycling. And we are doing this with our 3 missions, or 3C, as we are calling them. The community. So we are starting by verticalizing our solution. So we started with tennis. We are collecting waste from the tennis, transform them into garments from the same for the same sports, and infinitely. The fact that the users can go to their clubs, because we are doing this community with the cornerstone of the clubs. They can throw their waste into our containers in the clubs, and within 1 year, 2 years, and we hope later, they can throw away their own their used garments into the same containers because it's the same material. Okay. There is a double circularity, as I'm explaining. For the tennis, we are recollecting the racket strings, which is polyester, and through our eco-conceptions, those racket strings are becoming 100% polyester garments that eventually will become part of the first loop. And as Sharon was saying in the introduction, we are lucky enough to be in Spain, especially in Catalonia, where there are basically a vertical industry in terms of textiles. So we are doing everything from the recycling to the spinning to the fabric to the cut and sew in less than 150 kilometers, which is, I believe, quite appealing. And the first example is this one. It's the first stuff that we did. We're recollecting the racket strings. We transform them back into a new polymer. We do a new yarn, and then we are doing a responsible design because our garments is made up of the same material than the racket, and it goes everything into the same loop. So we are obviously 100% circular. All of our clothing are 100% circular, monomaterials ready to be recycled. And then thanks to the use of the existing technologies, such as the dope dyes, the antimicrobial, etc., we are saving up to 75% water consumptions. So basically, we got rid of all the dyeing bath. And then we are reducing the CO2 emission and the consumed energy because of the fact that we are not extracting any more material from the soil. What is important is that our collection, the first collection is black because it was mechanically recycled. We are coming out with a new collection, color collection with a chemical recycling. But what is important for the customers is to understand that, yeah, recycled, 100% recycling doesn't mean that it's not technical. We did put into the equations basically the fact that we use some R&D on the fabric itself, on the development of the yarn, on the development of the technology inside, so that it's extra light, breathable, fast dry, extra touch, and natural stretch. We did a collection for man and woman, and basically we are obviously verticalizing our solution so that people in this community can understand that it's your own waste that is transformed into your own garments infinitely. And this market is, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, we're talking about more than 25 million players in Europe that could be very involved in the process, because obviously it's their waste into their garments. And in terms of scalability, we are thinking to develop. We are already doing this, the same replication of the business model to mountain in the second phase, and then to sea. And we are also expanding geographically, starting from Spain to France to Europe. And to the people saying that basically there's not enough to recollect and to transform. I mean, in tennis, we are talking about 10 tons per year in Catalonia, 60 tons in Spain, overall 385 tons in Europe, which in fact represents almost 2.5 million garments. So obviously more than enough for a startup, which is why we are also putting in place some collaboration with big brands of tennis first, and then we are jumping right now in the mountain, doing exactly the same business model. In terms of team, I mean, as you can see, I mean, a very young team, which is combining the expertise of textile with external tech expertise, so to kind of disrupting a little bit this industry. And with CirCoAX, basically, we are trying to focus on specific projects. We will want to develop a tennis shoes that will be 100% recyclable and recycled. Recycled with the upper shoes made up of racket strings, and the tennis sole being made up of racket balls, and all the rest will be recyclable into an infinite sole. That's the project we are doing right now with CirCoAX. Thank you. Thank you, Paloma. Thank you, CirCoAX, for the invitation.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Time now for Desislava Dimitrova from Agrigaya, our ninth project of the afternoon is prepared.
Hello.
Hello. Okay.
Can I share my screen?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Is prepared everything for her? Okay.
Just a second, sorry. It's quite slow, the connection, sorry. Yeah. Hello, my name is Desislava Dimitrova. I'm the CEO of Biostepanstvo Lopianco company. For almost a century, the mankind achieved a big step toward the modern life, creating countless number of new materials to supply our dramatically increasing needs of materials with specific properties and applications. The mankind also managed to accumulate all sorts of these new artificial and synthetic materials like plastics, rubber, heavy metals, and chemical waste, fibers, medicine compounds, and byproducts, and many others as a pollution, endangering not only us, but the life on our planet. We have polluted the nature and our environment poison rivers, oceans, and the atmosphere. As a result, and thanks to human reasoning and intellect, we have decided to correct these mistakes and to try to leave to the next generations a livable planet. Fashion and the textile industry are some of the largest polluters of the environment and water. Since 2017, our company, Biostopansto Lopianco, has been focused on the direction of restoring the production of traditional product, the natural silk, but using new approach, the circular economy as a model, and to develop new technologies. Yes, to have a fashion and textile industry that meets the new challenges, we need to start the production of organic and biodegradable textile fibers. There is no way to have a sustainable textile industry and fashion without the main raw material needed for them, sustainable textile fibers. Natural silk has been used for centuries all over the world, and to this date has no other natural substitute. In our AgriGaia project, we used innovative methods and technologies to transform the traditional way of silk production into a new modern, high-tech and digitalized process that is much more efficient and cost-effective. We brought a team of professionals, experts in various fields, like textile engineers, microbiologists, IT specialists, industrial engineers, environmental and water specialists, and many others with whom we developed this new model to produce sustainable silk fibers. The academic society in Bulgaria and from other EU countries help us a lot in this endeavor and is with us from the beginning. The focus on this project, as you saw, is this innovative silk thread SESI, which is a new type of textile thread with high-tech indicators. We used waste raw materials from wastewater from the production of natural silk. And now 1/3 of the whole waste from the textile industry is not sustainable for fiber-to-fiber recycling, and all clothing materials end up in landfill for incineration. That's why new fibers are necessary for transformation towards sustainable textile industry. This process of creative thinking, developing and designing a whole new production system took us around 5 years. We are now at the stage of financing the project, building a pilot plant, and initiating of industrial production. We are looking for partners to join us and work together to develop the innovative product SESI and start industrial production. Finally, we can say that we have achieved a high degree of industrial symbiosis, and we are on our way to create an entirely new production system, transforming the existing fiber markets with such high impact innovation that will lead to deep transformation of the fast fashion industry in the EU. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Great work. We are waiting for the results at the end of this accelerator program.
Thank you very much.
Keep working. Well, we are close to the end. We are received now a project that everybody is in love with the later word. Now we are discovered why. Laura Fernandez is no? Ah, Nuria. Ah, okay. Nuria, okay. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
El último, ¿no?
Well, thank you for this opportunity. I am very happy to be here, and I would like about the Lateware. The Lateware is a circular brand founded for two women, mother and daughter. The daughter is Laura and Nuria. And where is the with this? Yeah, I pass. How pass the? Okay. Well, like I say, we are founded by two women, mother and daughter. We belong to two different generations, baby boom and millennial. And sometimes this is very good because we have two very complementary points of view, but in other times this is horrible because we discuss too much. And I would like to say that today is an important day, and they are an important fact because just 26 years ago, I was giving birth my partner. Happy birthday, Laura. The purpose. Entonces, ¿qué tengo que hacer? Yo de aquí, ¿no? Es que yo la veo así.
Because they put habilitar
edición.
edición.
Pero yo no lo puedo hacer. A ver, es que yo lo veo bien.
No cambia. No cambia.
Okay. Okay. Laura was thinking that like I am a baby boomer, I did bad, but it's not my quality in this occasion. Well, doesn't work. Yeah. Yes. Then our purpose is to create a circular fashion while fighting against climate change and work for social inclusion. And I would like to show you how can do this with this video. We use very good quality bed linen to do shirt like this or like this. Our cotton is 100 cotton, is without mix. And for this saves a lot of water. We try to be transparent, and in our QR we have all our information. Social inclusion is because we work with a woman that was a victim of sexual trafficking, and they help us make our creation.
Delight in Spain is delight. And we want to see circular fashion like something delight, not some take care of our planet is not something that you may sad because it's a sacrifice. No, it's a delight. For this, we decide to say deleite. Deleite is a Spanish word. And we use cycling because we think that is the way to reuse that produce less pollution. But the question is that is upcycling something new? And the answer, everybody here no, is no. I'm sorry, but no. When my mother, who was a very good dressmaker and pattern maker, made this dress with the coat of her uncle, an immigrant to Germany, he was doing upcycling. She took this coat that is covered the bicycles because my grandmother reused the coat, but my mother said this quality, this good German fabric is a pity that is covering a bicycle. Then she rescued it and started to do sundress. Then what is the difference between this time and nowadays? The difference is that in the 60s at the war, people reuse because family resources are at risk. More people was poor. And now it's our planet what is at risk. Then we need a social revolution. I mean a Pacific revolution. And this week is a social revolution. And this meeting is a social revolution. CirCoAX expertise and networking is a revolution because we are creating a networking, a community that can change the mind of people and can help planet to be safe. Then I would like to show you some videos that our garment and our thinking. And now another dress that we made with bed lining as well.
Bring it to the runway. Bring it to the runway.
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity, and I am very happy to meet with you.
Thank you very much, Nuria. Well, for most of us,
it's not easy to express our thoughts, our feelings in English, but it's a way, the best way to get in touch with all these people from other countries, for a connection with all Europe, but not Europe, just all the world, in order to make a big change. As Nuria said, this is a revolution. Now, I would like to invite with me David Ayo, because he's there, very in silence. He is another person from our team, from Tesfor, and please tell us a word for all the people. This is not on the schedule, but this is a disruptive meeting. Because it's a very important part of our project. He's working very hard with all the projects. So David, please. Yeah, here with me. As I say, this is becoming a stand-up comedy, Jan.
You're terrible, because at least when I'm speaking, I'm taking on some blazer. And today I'm like without blazer. Well, just nothing. I don't have any more to add. It was impressive to see how all the people is developing the project. I can see huge potential in everybody with one thought, like try to create regenerative and circular business. Europe is follow these kind of things. Seems that not too many, well, it is in the strategy, European strategy of textiles in 2030, that is tomorrow, all the garments should be like sustainable. So you are in this time facing the challenger. And well, we hope that all the effort that we are doing, like from the CirCoAX team, that you will be able to somehow to take and to do something with that. And you have like ourselves to try to help you as much as possible, connect with us. For example, in my case, I am really close of all the European law regarding with Euratex. I don't know if you know them, but it's like some organization that we have really close of the European Commission. We are developing another projects. We are like able to connect you with the manufacturers, and well, I think that is a really nice opportunity, the opportunity that you have with this program. So please go and follow your projects, because it is amazing to see and to feel that. It was enough. Yes. And now the most important thing, go to take a beer, because it's really warm, and it's the best moment, like to try to do networking and so on. That is another thing that we will try to explore. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you. You see, he explained better than me all the project. I'm very faster. Thank you so much, everyone. So let's take a beer, as David said. Thank you to Yora.